Hello, everybody. Terrence Pop here with another episode from the Lair. Okay, where'd we leave off? Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's see. So in the Q course, I did all of the field bullshit criteria we had to get to, and then we moved into the classroom phases. And what you cover in the classroom, since I was 18 Bravo, which is Special Forces Weapons Sergeant, you cover virtually all the weapons that are used in the NATO nations by the Soviet bloc and the United States. And a lot of the weapons go all the way back to like World War One. We had the bolt actions, the semi-autos, the revolvers, the 45, and you had to disassemble and reassemble these weapons, and do the function tests. And if something was broken, you had to figure out what it was and how to fix it. It's kind of like a big gunsmithing class, but you got to shoot the weapons and figure out how to use them tactically, in the real world. Well, in the school environment, but we shot them on the ranges and shit. I can't really think of any that stood out, higher or better than the rest of them. I like the M14. That was a really good weapon. The German G3, that was really good. I'm not a fan of the Finfal. That side-locking bolt thing and the weapon is, tragically too heavy. That, of course, these are just my opinions. We assembled all of the pistols down to subcomponents to include the 45, and the 45 breaks down into an insane amount of pieces, and you have to put that all back together and so forth. And we did the rifles, the pistols, submachine guns, assault rifles, machine guns, and I think we did like a week for each of them. And at the end, they give you the it's a 3-gun challenge where you take 3 pistols, they put them in a bag, and then you put your hands in there, and then they seal the bag. You can't see with your eyes what's going on. You have to feel all the parts and reassemble all 3 weapons, and all 3 weapons have to pass a functions check. And we did that with pretty much all of the weapons. And at the end, for the final, when you get out of the classroom phase, they take any 3 weapons from any of the categories, throw them into the bag, and then you have to assemble them without being able to see them. And they could be like 2 machine guns, it could be 2 assault rifles, and whatever. Whatever the 3 weapons were. Each part, the machine guns, the rifles, the assault rifles, the pistols, all had a 3-gun challenge. And at the end, you had a 3-gun challenge over everything. We focused a lot of time on the machine guns, especially the German stuff. The World War II German machine guns are phenomenally effective. They shoot fast as fuck. We worked with the 1919 A6 a lot, which breaks down like a 50 cal, except it uses 30-06 or 308 if it's been modified for that. To include, the newer models have used the disintegrating belt, and the older ones use the canvas belt, which had a tendency to warp in humidity or mold and rot or dry up and crack. So that's why they went to the disintegrating links, which worked out pretty good for everyone involved. And then after we did all that, the classroom phase is the classroom phase, all the weapons. We then went over into the mortars. We did 60 and 81 millimeter mortars. And they had just recently taken the 4-inch mortar out, the 120 millimeter, because that got moved over into another class of weapon at the time. The class before me covered the 120 millimeter, but we did not. We had a familiarization in it, but we didn't really tear it apart. Or like we did with the 81 and the 60, where we were take it apart, put it together. We'd broken into gun crews. We had to, get the weapon up, bubble it up so it would be okay, and go through all of the gun commands, set up the stakes so you could aim it and everything. Pretty complicated thing. And I had a hard time because this, when we were going through there, there was no laptops, none of that bullshit. You had like little the mortar plotting board, and then you would get your dope for the mission and use the plotting board and give the answer. And for whatever reason, I remember I had a hard time with this particular block of instruction, and pretty much everyone else had gotten it. And I remember, Sergeant Becker, who ran the class, he would go through the thing, and he'd be like, "Everyone got it? Everyone got it?" And he would look and see me and go, "Pop, don't got it. We're gonna do it again." And like the whole class would be like, "Ah!" But finally, I got it. I passed it with, I did all that with a Go Max. I did pretty well at it, and then, it became time to go out to the range, and I remember we got taken out to the range, and they were recovering pistols and submachine guns in this particular week, and it was surreal, because up until that point I had never seen anything like this. I'd gone to the range, and they would give you your ammo, and it was never enough, and they were always really pretty stingy with it. But I remember I was on the range, and they roll up in this flatbed truck, and it's like a full-size commercial flatbed truck, like the kind of truck you used to deliver shit to Walmart. All right, and it was full, just strapped down, full of ammo, pistol and submachine gun ammo. And we were not allowed to leave the range until we had shot all of that. Okay, so all the 9mm and 45 and 38. We had a lot of the Soviet pistol rounds, to include their. It's like a 380, but it's a little bit. It's just a smidgen too small. 25 ACP. Some of the Chinese Tokharovs use that kind of stuff. And we went through the whole deal. We fired the Swedish case submachine gun, which is pretty sweet. We did a lot of the Schmeitzers from World War II, which those are pretty good too, but they're a little old and rickety. Shot the shit out of some Thompson, the Thompson submachine guns, with the drums, doing the whole mobster, like burn up the entire drum thing, which was cool. And I didn't know that you could actually see the 45 slugs until we fired that. Okay, because we would fire it, and then you could see the bullets when they got about maybe 50 feet away from the weapon, and it got to the point where we would fire it, and then we would be able to lob the rounds in and hit targets out to 250 meters with that. It was pretty sweet, and of course to pick up all the brass and all that horse shit. We did the same thing with the rifles, the bolt action rifles. So they went all the way back. We even had some that were like 1895. And that ammo, we didn't get a lot of it because there really wasn't a lot of that ammo around. But we shot all that stuff, all of the bolt action rifles all the way up to World War II that, were fielded by the Germans, the English, the Americans. We've had some of the Swiss 7.6. 7.5. They load. You rack them from the side. It's some weird kind of thing they use. Those weapons are pretty good. A lot of French weapons that we got our hands on. I really can't remember any of the French weapons that were any good. I mean, they were okay, I guess. I was really, I really like the British Enfields for whatever reason. You can really rip through those rounds quickly. The way it's designed, it's the Mauser is probably just a pinch more accurate, but the bolt action is hard and stiff, and whereas the one in the infield, it's real smooth. You can rack through that 10-round magazine like that, and you could squeeze off probably 30 to 40 rounds a minute, of decent, well-aimed fire with that particular rifle. That's why I own 5 of them, and I bought most of them while I was fucked out of my head, but that's neither here nor there. Let's see. We had, we did the same thing with the machine guns. We fired the Dishka, the 50 cal, and the 50 cal, the M2, the one that we use in the American Army, is probably the best heavy machine gun that's on the market today. And it was designed in like 1887, and then it really hasn't had a lot of changes between then and now, and that weapon is phenomenal. Like literally, you're firing it, and and it's not kicking or anything. Where you get on the dish gun, you got like this, that's probably like a 10-pound steel bolt slamming back and forth in the machine gun, and it's throwing sparks everywhere and burning holes in your uniform because not all the powder's burning, and it's just fucking crazy. I mean, at night when you fire that thing, it was awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you there, but you know, you could see the flash on that thing, and just it would give its position away, within 2 rounds being fired. Whereas the 50, it does have a flash to it, but it's not anything like the Dishka. And we fired other heavy machine guns from some of the other nations. None of them really stood out. We fired them. God, what is that one? It's our auto machine gun, or our auto grenade launcher that we have in the United States. And we fired the shit out of that one, and I really liked it. It was a little tricky to reload, but once you get used to how it works, it's really not that bad. And that'll fire a 40 millimeter grenade 3,200 meters, which is just shy of the max range of the 60 millimeter mortar. I think the 60 millimeter mortar will fire max range 3,600 to 3,800, whereas the 40 millimeter grenade launcher will go roughly 3,200. We did fire the Soviet auto grenade launcher. We had limited ammo, very similar in effects. Really not much of a difference between those 2 weapon platforms. The Russians, their stuff is a little more simple. It's always real simple, so it disassembled and reassembled easier than the United States version. Whereas the United States version required silicone grease, and the Soviet version you could use motor oil on it, and it worked just fine. If I recall, their ammo was either 37 or 38 millimeters. Ours was 40 millimeters. And what was our call? Ours is the Mark 19. That's it. They showed us some other, auto grenade launcher systems from China, but they were almost identical to the Soviet stuff. And most of the Chinese stuff that they have, it's all stolen from the Soviets. So, I don't know what's with the Chinese thinking that they're all that in a bag of chips, when most of their weapons they either stole them or copied them from another country. That whole thing went off pretty much without much of a hitch. We did have one of the students get shot, and basically I believe he was retired over the whole thing. I don't remember what his end result was, but on the 1919 A6, it fires from a closed bolt position, and on the front of the weapon there's a shock cone which assists in the bolt being blown back. And when we were firing it, and the cone flew off, and I don't know what happened, but at the end of that iteration, we put everyone cold. I was basically behind the firing line. I had come off just before these guys, so I was going to go back on and fire up some more. But the guy got cleared. He went out in front of the weapon, got the shot cone, and was trying to put it on. And there was a cook-off. One of the rounds was still in the chamber. It got missed and hit him in the elbow, and just destroyed this. It basically destroyed his entire elbow. I mean, we're standing right there when it happened, and literally, I remember hearing the report, seeing his arm in some weird angle, and then I and like 6 other guys, we were on him like that. Like, we really grabbed the arm just above where the wound was, put direct pressure. We had him hooked up, bandaged up, tourniquet, the whole deal. And the medevac was on its way probably within 90 seconds. I mean, because we had just done the whole first aid class a couple weeks prior to this, so it was fresh in all our minds. And they came out and got him and took him to the hospital. They were talking about doing some reconstructive surgery and then going to recycle him to the class behind us. I lost track of what happened to the guy after that. I would like to think that he was able to overcome his injury and carry on. I mean, I'm assuming he was probably medically retired or something, but I've seen guys have their elbows blown off before and still be able to do the push-ups and sit-ups. They just can't go all the way down, and people cut him a break. But you know, it is possible he could have finished. But I'm not, you know, I'm not holding out for it. And if you're still alive, you know, thoughts and prayers to you, bro. You got fucked over there, and I'm terribly sorry about that. All right, this is another funny thing that happened, and this happened during the machine gun range portion. I don't know what was going on in Fort Bragg, but every fucking day it would downpour for about maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then it would stop, and the sun would come out, and it was like this. It was like clockwork, and we were on the range, and I think it was like Thursday, and everything I had was just soaked to the fucking bone, just fucking soaked. I had one dry uniform in my waterproof bag that I put on it at night, and I would sleep in it basically, so I'd have a dry uniform to sleep in. And I refused to get that one wet. And so I would put on, you know, my other wet fucking nasty ass uniform every morning and go out and do my shit. And on this particular day, it had rained, you know, all night. It had rained into the morning. And right around 10:30, 11 o'clock, it had stopped for a little while. And, you know, we were fine. We ate lunch on the range. And then it just started to downpour again. And, you know, I just had enough. Like, literally, I said, fuck it. I went down to my hooch, took off my fucking uniform. All I had was my PC and my fucking boots, completely fucking naked. Just hung everything else up on a fucking bayonet in the tree. And I walked out and I was doing range duty, completely fucking naked. And it was raining so fucking hard, it was like standing in the shower. And before I knew it, everyone in the class had just said, fuck it. And literally we had like 60 guys all doing the fucking range, wearing nothing but PCs and boots. And it was a fucking done deal. Even the sergeant major got caught wind of it, you know, and he kind of rolled out there, and he gets out and goes, what the fuck is this? Is this fucking like nude camp fucking, you know, firing at the range? You know, but hey, we're all in the same uniform, so there's really nothing he can say about it. It was pretty funny. Anyway, we're gonna move on. After this, we're gonna cover probably some of the explosives training, you know, some of the other stuff we did in regards to the classroom portion of the weapons qualification course. Anyway, guys, you guys take it easy.